In this final part about aerodynamics, I'm going to be showing you how to put a splitter on your car. Welcome back to the channel, race fans. This is the final part on aerodynamics, and today we're going to be talking splitters.
Basically, I have a splitter made for my EJ1 race car, which I never actually used. I have these mounting brackets. They're quick release. Basically, attach this one to the car, and then there's one on the splitter where it slides on and locks, and you put a pin in it. I'm going to try and use these. As you can see, this car already sits extremely low, and from the cross member bar at the bottom, there's only 4 inches to play with. That looks bigger than 4 inches to me. So I'm going to get up in the air and have a look and see where it sits. But the basic plan for a splitter is, as the air comes into the front of the car, air being a liquid, basically, or a fluid, sorry, not a liquid, wants to take the easiest route. So it'll hit, go in here, go under there, go around the sides, go under here, go in here, go in there, go underneath. Basically what you want to do is you want to try and channel as much air into your radiator and away from all the other nooks and crannies which create drag. You want to create a high pressure zone here and a low pressure zone underneath the splitter. So as the air comes here, it hits what we're going to build and call an air dam. We're going to basically dam the air, and it'll cause a high pressure, therefore low pressure under the splitter, hence sucking the car onto the ground. As I say, I'm going to figure out, read the rules of how far out my splitter can come. I'm going to use the one that I mocked up for the EJ1, see how that looks first. If not, I've got another piece of plywood. But I'm going to go from the width of the wheels, out as far as I can, and back just behind the rear subframe. And that's maybe where I'll attach the back of the splitter onto the rear subframe. But first things I've got to do is get the car up in the air, get the wheels off, and just basically, if you haven't got wood, put cardboard up and literally lay with the bottom of your engine, your oil pan, and just see how much room you've got. And then you can figure out whether you can lower it up or down. Realistically, you don't want it touching your oil pan. An inch gap is good enough, especially if you've got it secured nicely. So again, first thing to do is get it up in the air and get the wheels off. Okay, another very important thing that people forget or get wrong is when you're coming up with the design, you need to have your entire front end that you're going to race with buttoned up and tied. Because if you don't, you'll design something and then you'll come to and put the bumper on and nothing will fit. So this is how the car's going to run, and I'm going to base my splitter off, obviously the crash bar, which is cross member bar, which is here, but the front of the bumper here. Our rules state from front of the bumper out is where you measure your splitter. So make sure you have everything buttoned up at the front that you're going to use. So this is the splitter I designed for the EJ1. Now instantly, it's too wide. It's probably about 2 inches too wide. And these mounts, which I'm going to use, are too wide as well. They're either side of the tie downs here. I'm going to probably have to move them inboard slightly, because what I'm going to have to do, so the way it works, these hang from the car, and then you slide it on like that. And you put a pin through here, and that secures it. But because these 3 slots here are designed to go where the original toe hooks go on the EF, EJ, EG, EKs as well, and EMs. But on this car, because that's where the original cross member, the first aftermarket cross member went, I've stripped all them out. So there's no strength there. So what I'm thinking of doing is actually butchering these. Zip it off this height with a zip disc, then put a radius in it, same as the crash member, and then a bead of weld either side, and actually weld these to the cross member. What I'm concerned about is actual height. Now, I can probably demonstrate from this side. It's going to drop 3 inches. I told you I only have 4 from the cross member, so it's going to be very low. This will have to be off for coming in and out of the trailer. I've got to make sure I keep it on the black stuff and not go off on the grass, because it just gets fucking ripped off. So, yeah, I'm thinking that's my best option, because this is all I've got. I could try and fabricate so I not chop things up, but I don't think it'd be quick disconnect, which obviously I need to be able to take this on and off to get the car in and out of the trailer. And then still, these may scrape if they're welded to this. I have some thinking about that, but I think the first thing I should do is actually get my template for the shape of the splitter. The actual, yeah, so even the section there is too wide, so obviously the EJ is wider, so this isn't going to work for me, so I'll keep this for the EJ1, but I'll take these brackets off and we'll go from there. I got the plywood on 4 jack stands, put a center line. I basically use the bumper where the license plate was to try and find the center of the bumper. Realistically, I should have run a line all the way down the car, but I did it this way this time. Can't use the hood because this hood's bent and it's off-centered that way. Then I basically used a plumb bob to center the front, and then I did the same at the back. I basically ran the gap I want to run is 70 centimeters. So from center, I went out 35, run a point from where I measured from 35, and to be honest, it's within a couple of millimeters. So that's looking pretty close up. So now I'm going to trace, get this as close down without touching, and then trace the outline of the bumper. And then I should be good to start making the actual shape of the splitter. The way I'm going to do the tracing, I'm going to get a piece of flat bar, Sharpie, tape to the edge, and just trace it. Well, that worked like absolute shit. Drawing it on the particle board, plywood, whatever you want to call this, was a pain in the ass. I'm going to try something different. What I would suggest, and probably when I did that one, probably did it on the other side where it's a bit smoother, is maybe do your template on cardboard and transfer it to the wood. So the thing is, I have another bumper that's not on the car. I have a rough area now. I'm going to try and fine tune with the other bumper. There we go. Now obviously, this ain't precision. I am not McLaren F1. So as long as you get it close, that's the end of the game. And an upside down bumper is way easier to draw. There you go, look at that. That's a million times better. Now, the only issue I've got is I don't know whether it's perfectly aligned, but I've got the center point, lined up the center point with a line, got it as close to the original one as I could. And there we go. Let's see, it's not precision. I'm not going to be CFD in this car. It's all DIY. So if you see something you could use, or the best thing is if you see something that I'm doing that you think I could do better, leave a comment below. I always like criticism, be it good or bad. I'll answer it, use it if it's a great piece of advice, and also like the video and subscribe to the channel. This build's almost done, more builds to come. Alright, let's take the measuring tape off. So our racing regulations say that the front splitter cannot extend more than 100 millimeters from the air down. Basically the air down is going to be level with the bumper. So let's have a look. We are 150. So for an eyeball, that wasn't too bad. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark 100 on here, and then we'll just trace the same outline. Right there. So now I've got to get the 100 all the way around, and the easiest way I know about doing that is I'll cut a piece of cardboard and I'll just run it along the line that I've already drawn.
So to get the 100mm thickness on the splitter, I've got a piece of cardboard that is 100mm wide. I am making little marks all the way around, and I will join up these dots, and that will give me the full shape of the splitter in front of the front bumper.
You guys get a rough idea what it's looking like now, at least. Then we've got to work out where the wheels are going to go, and basically what we'll do is we'll cut in here from the wheels to leave the gap for the wheels, and 70 centimeters. And then that's your split shape. Now you just got to figure out how you mount it to your vehicle. So that's what we'll do next. Alright, so with the general design of the splitter, or the rough design of the splitter sorted, we now got to figure out how we're going to mount it to the car, and then we can refine. The issues that I'm having is the crash bar is only like 4 inches from the ground, and it's got a bit of scuff in here from where I went over the curbs. So I can't really drop the splitter much lower than the crash bar. Just underneath would be nice. So yesterday I was racking my brains. These are the quick release mounts that I've got. If you look through this hole here, you might be able to see, but the shape of them, they mount to where the stock tow hooks would go. So you take these off and you'd put these on. So these would sit on the inside here, but I got a crash bar in the way. So several ideas I had was zip this top part off, put a notch, and then weld it to the actual crash bar. But when I measured that, that would have dropped the splitter 2 inches below the crash bar, leaving me 1.5 inches between the splitter and the ground. Obviously that's not going to work. So then I thought about, well, maybe I can weld some L brackets off the crash bar, put some holes on the splitter so it slides on, basically make my own quick disconnect. And again, that would have required drilling holes in tube, which is hard, or a lot of fabrication, because I also thought, well, why don't I fabricate something to bolt into the two chassis bolts here and come down off here. But again, it's literally anything I drop is going to be hard. So I realistically need a splitter to sit here. So I remember watching an old video of a guy doing an EF with these, and he mounted them on the outside. But as you can see, I have a big hole here. And the reason for that was when we used a crappy cross member, it stripped out and broke all the capture nuts on the back. So I had to cut this out, go in with a socket and basically tighten it. But what I can do, if I want to mount these here, I have a template for holes. So what I was thinking is I could probably weld these onto this for whatever height I want. Or just weld a square piece of plate steel, use this as a template, and then tack these so that I can put bolts straight through. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make a template, or basically use this and tap this. The only thing is, with this piece of metal missing, it's about the same width, so there's not much area to weld on. So I don't know how it would hold. But that's to be figured out. So it's either going to be weld these on and tap this, or use this as a template to put a piece of metal over this and tap it myself. So that's what we're going to do, and then we're going to just use the mounts as they were supposed to be done. Figure out where they need to sit so that it's just touching the bar, and we'll be good to go. Alright, so this is kind of mocked up just with tech screws, so that I can mark where I'm going to put these on my metal plates. Then I can drill and tap them before I even weld it all in. But they look like it's going to work. Now, assuming the car is level on the lift, and we did level the lift when we installed it. It's within a degree. I'm happy with that. So now I think what I'm going to do is I've got to mark the points on the plate, drill them, tap them, and weld them in. And the good thing is, if you look on this side, we're not at the top. And if you look at this side, we're right at the bottom as well. So that gives us, we can drop it lower. I said I was going to tap and die this, and just assumed everybody knew what that meant. If you do know what it means, awesome. For those of you that don't know, is if I was to weld this plate on and had access from behind, I could just drop a bolt through, put a nut on, an eye-lock nut, somewhat sturdy, but I don't have access. So what I want to do is make these holes threaded. So I've drilled them to the right diameter, got a bit of lube on them, and then I'm going to use this, which is a tap. Basically, this is going to put the thread on, so a sort of bolt like this can go in. So you just literally put it in, slowly start to screw it till it catches. And then away you go. And there's different types of taps. You've got flat bottom taps, pointy taps. So the good thing is these are also good for when you do a paint job. If you think you got paint in a hole that needs a bolt in it, find the right metrics, and clear out the paint. And you want to do it till basically it's free flowing like this. Same on the way out. You don't want any restrictions. The tap should bring out most of the crap as well. And then to test it, just use your bolt. Now this bolt's way too long, but I'm using it because it goes all the way through. That is a successful tapped hole. So I've just tacked these in place so that I can test mount it, and on the other side, this is what it looks like. So once this is fully welded in, I think that's going to be pretty solid. It is slightly a 1 degree nose up here, which, considering how old and bent this car is, 1 degree is not too bad. The way I can rectify that is I can add spacers at the back here so that it puts a downward angle on the splitter once we mount the splitter. So I'm going to get the other side mounted, and then we're going to actually mount this piece of wood to this and see how it fits. Okay, so the splitter is mounted, centered, and kind of level. Basically at the back it needs tying into the chassis because it tilts up, which is not what you want. You want it either level or slightly lower in the front than on the back. So therefore it channels air into the air dam and underneath. At the moment it's acting in the opposite, with it being slightly higher in the front than in the rear. It's actually creating a lift on the nose. So to do that I am going to have to connect something to the back of the splitter and tie it up into the subframe. But that being said, thing to do now is work out the air dam, and also just looking, trying to fit that wheel in there. I could tell you now, I got to take some off the back there. And what I'll probably do is I'll probably take it to level with this, because that should have been level there, but it is what it is. So next thing is air dam and sorting this out so the wheel fits. Okay, so air dam. I had a big roll of ABS plastic, you can see it over there. So what I've done is I've cut 6 inches, which is probably an inch more than I need, but I wanted to make sure I had enough. I've attached it via tech screws just to get it in shape. Because it's been rolled up, it's a little deformed down here, so I've got to be careful with that. But it kind of hugs the bumper pretty nicely. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to trace the line that the air dam makes. Then I'll put some L brackets on the other side and rivet the air dam to that. So that's the main thing now, is put the L brackets on after tracing the line. The air dam is attached. Basically I went 5 inches because that took me up to here. What I might do for the real one though is I might go up to here and then just cut this out, because these edges just touch the bottom of the bumper. There's not a lot of places to secure it. But what I did on the back was quickly just cut some aluminium and then rivet it and bolt it in. The way I evened up the side, so this side obviously was good, but this side was way out. What I did was I made a template of this side and literally just flipped it to this side, drew the line and cut it. At the back, to try and get some elevation, I got some little hooks that will, and some tighteners which will pull it up. That's probably going to be a temporary solution while we test this prototype. But that's it. Basically now it is a case of get this on the car, drive it, test it, and if it works, make a good version of it. Okay, so here we are, testing at the track. Rear wing is on. Front splitter is mounted. It's not exactly super sturdy, like where you see people stand on them. It's definitely going to need stays when I make it out of the proper material. I set a bench time. I went out with no aero in for the first session and did a 107.1. So it's the last session of the day. I'm going to take it easy to start with, just to make sure it all stays together, and then we'll see what kind of lap times I did. Alright, so last session done. Aero all held together. There was a lot of scraping, but this is quite a bumpy track, but doesn't seem to be any damage, and it added 2 seconds a lap faster. 107 without, 105 with. So I'd say aero works. Need some work doing to it though, like now we've got to transfer it into the proper materials. I've got to fix that problem I had with the alternator. If it focuses, the top bolt hopefully worked its way loose, otherwise it will have snapped off, and in doing so did this to the belt, so I'll need a new belt. Alright, so I'm thinking that's aero done. One last video in this series is going to be beautifying it, painting it, making it look nicer. I do have to admit, I didn't feel, as in like, much difference. I couldn't feel like I had a ton more downforce, but proof's in the clock, obviously. So that's the end of this video, guys. I hope this helps you come up with your own ideas to build yourself a splitter, how to do your rear mounted hatch wing. Just make your own, don't pay PCI, it just takes time and a bit of ingenuity. Thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and until next time, see you later.